Hey everyone, before we begin, make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more stories like this. Now dim the lights, get comfortable, and let me tell you a story that might stay with you long after this video ends. It started with a message that wasn't meant for me. I live alone in a small apartment just outside the city, the kind of place where the walls are thin enough to hear your neighbor's cough, but thick enough to hide what you don't want to hear at night. My routine was simple: work, eat, scroll through my phone, sleep. Nothing unusual ever happened to me, and I liked it that way. I didn't believe in ghosts, didn't believe in anything supernatural. At least, not before that night. It was around 2:13 a.m. when my phone buzzed. I remember the exact time because I couldn't sleep and had been staring at the clock for what felt like hours. The message came from an unknown number. No name, no picture, just a string of digits. I almost ignored it, but something about the timing made me open it. The message read, "Don't look behind you." I frowned, thinking it was some kind of prank. Maybe a wrong number. Maybe one of those creepy chain messages people send around. I typed back, "Who is this?" But the message failed to deliver. That's when I noticed something strange. My phone still had signal, 4 bars, Wi-Fi connected. Everything looked normal, but the message just sat there, undelivered. I tried calling the number, but it didn't even ring. It just ended immediately, like the number didn't exist. I laughed it off, tossed my phone on the bed, and got up to grab a glass of water from the kitchen. But as I stepped out of my bedroom, I felt it. That feeling, like someone was watching me. You know that sensation when your skin prickles for no reason? When the air suddenly feels heavier? That's what it was like. I paused in the doorway, listening. The apartment was silent. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. Still, I couldn't shake the message from my mind. Don't look behind you. I told myself it was stupid, just a coincidence. Just my brain playing tricks on me. So I walked into the kitchen, filled the glass with water, and stood there for a moment, staring at the reflection in the dark window. That's when my phone buzzed again. I nearly dropped the glass. Another message from the same number. I said, "Don't look behind you." My heart started pounding. I didn't remember hearing anyone enter the apartment. The front door was locked. The windows were closed. There was no one else there. At least, there shouldn't have been. Slowly, very slowly, I turned around. There was nothing, just the empty hallway leading back to my bedroom. The door, then my phone buzzed again. The lights still on. You shouldn't have done that. Everything looked the lights went out the same, not flickering. I let out a shaky breath and tried to calm myself down. Total darkness. This is ridiculous. I whispered. I froze. Someone's messing with me. The only light now came from my phone screen, casting a pale glow across the kitchen. My breathing sounded too loud, too fast. I could feel my pulse in my ears. Then I heard it. A soft sound, like something shifting, just out of sight. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely steady. No response. I took a step forward, holding my phone out in front of me like a flashlight. The beam of light stretched into the hallway, but it didn't feel like enough. Shadows clung to the walls, thick and unnatural. Another step. The floor creaked under my weight. Another message. It's closer now. I didn't want to read it, but I couldn't stop myself. My hands were shaking. "What do you want?" I typed, my fingers fumbling over the screen. This time, the message delivered instantly. The reply came almost immediately. To help you. That didn't make sense. Help me with what? I asked. There was a pause, long enough that I started to think it was over. Then the typing indicator appeared. Turn around again. My stomach dropped. No, I whispered. Turn around, the message repeated. I didn't move. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, from somewhere behind me, I heard breathing. Not mine. Slow, steady, deliberate, right at the back of my neck. I spun around so fast I nearly lost my balance. But again, there was nothing there. The hallway was empty, completely empty. I backed up against the wall, my heart racing so fast it felt like it might explode. This isn't real, I muttered. This isn't real. My phone buzzed again. It doesn't like being seen. What doesn't? I typed. No response. Instead, something else happened. From the darkness of the hallway, a shape began to form. At first, it was just a distortion, like heat rising off asphalt. Then it started to take on a clearer outline. Tall, too tall. Its head nearly brushed the ceiling. Its limbs were long and thin, bending at angles that didn't look right. Its skin, or whatever it was, seemed to ripple like liquid shadow. And its face, it didn't have one, just a smooth, featureless surface where a face should be. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I could only watch as it slowly tilted its head. As if studying me, my phone buzzed again. Don't let it touch you. That snapped me out of it. I turned and ran. I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to get away from that thing. I rushed into my bedroom, slammed the door shut, and locked it. The handle rattled immediately. Something was on the other side, pushing, testing, trying to get in. I backed away, my entire body trembling. What do I do? I typed frantically. The reply came instantly. Hide. Where? But there was no answer. The rattling stopped. Silence filled the room, and that was somehow worse. I scanned the room, my mind racing. There wasn't much space, just a bed, a closet, and a small desk. The closet. It was the only place that made sense. I moved as quietly as I could, opened the door just enough to slip inside, and pulled it shut behind me. Darkness wrapped around me again. I held my breath, listening. At first, there was nothing. Then, the bedroom door creaked open, slowly, deliberately. I could hear it moving, soft steps across the floor, closer, closer. It stopped right in front of the closet. I felt something brush against the door, a faint scraping sound, like fingers dragging across the wood. My phone buzzed again, lighting up the small space. I hesitated, then looked down. It knows you're there. I covered my mouth to stop myself from making a sound. The handle began to turn. Slowly, the door creaked open just a fraction. A thin sliver of darkness appeared, and through it, something moved. A shape, leaning in, searching. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying it wouldn't see me. Seconds stretched into eternity. Then, suddenly, it stopped. The door slowly closed again. The footsteps retreated. The bedroom door creaked shut. And just like that, it was gone. I stayed there for what felt like hours, too afraid to move, too afraid to breathe. Eventually, my phone buzzed one last time. It's gone for now. For now? I typed, but the message didn't deliver. The number was gone, completely gone, as if it had never existed. The lights flickered back on. Everything looked normal again, too normal. I stepped out of the closet, my legs weak. The apartment was empty, no signs of forced entry. No signs of anything at all, just silence. I didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the one after that, because every night at exactly 2:13 a.m., my phone buzzes, and every time it's a different number, but the messages are always the same. It's back. Don't look behind you. And sometimes, when I forget, when I make the mistake of turning around, I see it again, standing just a little closer than before, watching, waiting, learning. So if you ever get a message in the middle of the night from a number you don't recognize, telling you not to look behind you, take my advice, don't, because once you see it, it sees you too, and it never really leaves. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And maybe, just maybe, check behind you one last time before you sleep tonight. Hey, everyone, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and let me know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more stories like this. The second story of the night is the last door at the end of the hallway. So turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's get started. I never liked mirrors, not because of how I look, but because of how they look back. There's something unsettling about them if you stare just a little too long, like your reflection isn't just copying you, but studying you, learning you. I used to think that was just a creepy idea, until I bought that mirror. It was from a small thrift shop, tucked between two abandoned stores. I wasn't even planning to go inside, but something caught my eye, a tall, antique mirror leaning against the wall near the entrance. The frame was dark wood, carved with strange patterns that didn't seem to follow any clear design. It looked old, really old. The kind of old that makes you wonder how many people have stood in front of it before you. I should have walked away, but instead I bought it. It was cheap, too cheap. The owner didn't even try to convince me. In fact, when I told him I wanted it, he just nodded quickly, like he was relieved. Final sale, he said. No receipt, no returns. I didn't think much of it at the time. Getting it into my apartment was harder than I expected. The mirror was heavier than it looked, and for a moment I almost dropped it while carrying it up the stairs. But I managed. I placed it in my bedroom, right across from the bed. At first, everything was normal. I'd pass by it, glance at my reflection, maybe fix my hair before leaving for work. Nothing unusual. But then I started noticing small things, little delays. At first, I thought it was my imagination. I'd move, and my reflection would follow a split second too late. Not enough to be obvious, just enough to feel wrong. I tested it, raised my hand quickly. My reflection followed perfectly. No delay. I laughed it off. Just tired, I told myself. But that night, something changed. I woke up around 3:03 a.m. No reason, no sound, just awake. And the first thing I noticed was the mirror. I could see it clearly from my bed, and in it I could see myself, lying there, exactly as I was, except I wasn't moving. Even though I was awake, I blinked. My reflection didn't. My heart started racing. Slowly I lifted my hand. This time my reflection didn't follow. It just stayed there, still, watching me. Then it smiled. I didn't. I swear I didn't. But it did. A slow, unnatural smile that stretched too wide across its face. I scrambled out of bed, nearly falling over myself, and turned on the lights. The reflection snapped back to normal instantly, mirroring me again, perfectly, like nothing had happened. I stood there, breathing heavily, staring at it. "Nope," I said out loud. "I'm not doing this." I grabbed a blanket and threw it over the mirror, covering it completely. "That's better," I muttered, and somehow I convinced myself it was over. I went back to bed, but sleep didn't come easy. Every little sound made me jump. Every shadow looked wrong. And then I heard it, a soft rustling sound from the direction of the mirror. I froze. The blanket was moving, not falling, not slipping, moving like something underneath it was shifting. I slowly sat up, my eyes locked on it. "Stop," I whispered. The movement paused. Then the blanket dropped, and the mirror was uncovered again. I didn't move. I couldn't, because in the reflection, I wasn't in bed anymore. I was standing right in front of the mirror, staring back at myself, but that wasn't me. I was still on the bed. I could feel it. My body hadn't moved, but the version of me in the mirror, it tilted its head and took a step forward, closer to the glass, then another, until its face was pressed right up against it. And then it raised its hand, slowly, and placed it against the inside of the mirror, as if the glass was the only thing separating us. I shook my head, backing away. "This isn't real," I whispered. "This isn't real." But then I felt something, a pressure, on my hand, like something was touching it. From the other side, I looked down, and my hand was raised. I didn't remember lifting it, but there it was, pressed against the mirror, matching the position of my reflection. No. I tried to pull it away, but I couldn't. Something was holding it there. The reflection smiled again, wider this time, and then it pulled hard. I felt myself being yanked forward, my feet sliding across the floor. I screamed, grabbing onto the bed frame with my other hand. The force was strong, too strong. It was trying to pull me into the mirror. "Let go," I shouted, and suddenly it did. I fell backward, hitting the floor hard. The mirror went still again, normal, silent, like nothing had happened. I didn't sleep at all after that. I dragged the mirror out of my bedroom and into the hallway, facing the wall. I didn't want to see it, didn't want to risk looking into it again. But the next morning, it was back in my bedroom, facing the bed, exactly where it had been before. I know I moved it. I know I did. But there it was, waiting, watching. That's when I realized something. It wasn't just a mirror. It was a replacement. Every night since then, it gets worse. My reflection doesn't always match me anymore. Sometimes it moves on its own. Sometimes it disappears completely. And sometimes it's already there, before I even enter the room, standing, smiling, waiting for me to arrive. Last night, it spoke. I was brushing my teeth, trying not to look directly at it, but I could see it in the corner of my eye, its mouth moving, even though mine wasn't. At first, I couldn't hear anything, just silence. Then slowly, a voice, my voice, but distorted, like it was coming from underwater. "You're tired, aren't you?" I froze. "You don't have to stay out there," it continued. "I can take your place." I shook my head, stepping back. "No," I whispered, but it just smiled. "You already let me learn you." That's when the lights flickered, and for a brief second, the reflection was gone. The mirror was empty, and I could feel something behind me, breathing, close, too close. I didn't turn around. I couldn't, because I already knew what I'd see, or worse, what I wouldn't see. Now I keep all the lights on. I don't sleep. I don't look at any reflective surface. Not my phone, not windows, not even water, because I don't know which version of me I'll see, or if it'll be me at all. And tonight it knocked, not on the mirror, but on my bedroom door. 3 slow knocks, followed by my own voice from the other side. Can I come out now? If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And before you go to sleep tonight, take a look in the mirror just for a second and make sure it looks back the way it's supposed to, because if it doesn't, it might already remember you.